Male bettas in all of these 10-gallon tanks.
Everybody can see how pretty they are. Literally hundreds of cories.
You don't put a female with a male because the female typically will kill the male.
So this Fish Happens in Indianapolis, Indiana. Been here a little over a year and a half, call it like 18 months. We've accumulated quite a bit, several thousands of gallons. Probably have around 300 neon tetras right now. There's probably about 125 or so in here. And then we just recently got this, like they just got put in, but there's 150 there. They're just adjusting. I try to recommend 6 to 8 or more. The neon tetras are $4.99 a piece. Unless you get 6 or more, they're $3.99 a piece. That kind of gets people to get the 6 or more. And nice like 40 or bigger, you can do 15, 20 of them, and it's actually a very nice tank. Problem is, most of the places that you've been getting neons, they haven't been healthy stock and they just kind of die off. Well, because we're importing and whatnot, then we can actually get better stock. So we have spotted hill streams and reticulated hill streams. Reticulated is probably the one people know the most, but there's actually over 100 species of hill streams out there. This is a kind of longer species. Gets actually a pinch bigger than spotted, but yeah, just slightly different shape. You kind of see they're more oblong than round, like the other hill streams. It's cool. We're actually going to try to do a breeding program for hill streams. We just put all these up, and they're already loaded with fish because we used cycled bacteria, cycled sponges and gravels and everything, and they're actually testing just fine. I'm able to do water changes every 3 or 4 days if I need to, but we actually added a lot of these cones and different ceramic medias to tanks, mixed in with gravel, just to kind of get it going. It's beneficial bacteria that has built up. There's several different types of beneficial bacteria. You need a little of this, a little of that to maintain a successful tank. Yeah, we actually have cycled sponges and cycled bacteria that we sell, and it helps jumpstart a tank. Usually I'll tell people it takes about a month to really start a tank and healthily get fish in. By adding bacteria and whatnot, it shaves off weeks, possibly. Like, give me a week or two, we can probably get fish in there. But bring water samples, and we'll test it along the way and see when it's ready. Tell you the day it's ready for fish. We got a lot of rosy barbs. About 60 or so left. We got males and females. If anybody wants to try their little egg scatter breeding product, they'll kind of dance and swim around, and females will drop eggs and males will run and fertilize them. But usually they kind of breed in a rock bed, and eggs kind of fall on they might lay on the moss. They would lay eggs and all that. And then the babies would develop in the rock structures until they start to join the bigger group. We got, 500 assassin snails the other day? They eat the pest snails. They help clean up all the little pest snails that you find everywhere. Pest snails, we do keep tanks without assassin snails to help clean up and sell for feeder snails to puffers and loaches and stuff. But I loaded up on assassins in a lot of places that will have plants and people will be getting a lot of fish from, so they don't have to get the pest snail. We're not spreading as many pest snails. There are literally hundreds of cories now, like multiple different types. He's cutting out the different guppies. We got 13 different types of fancy guppies. There's a lot of really cool ones. Really interesting ones. These are the blue Silverado. So males and females. But once we get them in the tanks, everybody can see how pretty they are. This is actually some of the last batch. The guppies are going to go across the whole top row. So as of tonight, these will be full of the bougie Vietnam guppies. So everybody's been waiting. We got in 100 or so of the stripes, which usually only get smaller numbers. 20, 30 or so at a time. And then we got the neons, and we have neon coolie loaches, which I've only even seen a handful or so times. But they're very eel-like. They get a kind of pointed face. in the right light, they shine really nice. They don't have the stripes, they're not solid black, they're not the typical coolie loach. Usually my rule of thumb is if you want to see one, get 4 or 5. If you have 4 or 5, there will actually be 1 or 2 out and about. Sometimes they'll be all just huddled up together somewhere. But if you get a couple, then you get to see. They do just hide, they'll kind of run through the foliage and whatnot at the bottom of the tank, cracks and crevices. But you'll definitely turn off the light or turn on like a blue light and see them a little more active. A lot of our, safely established planted tanks, they damn near take care of themselves. If you water test this one compared to a newer one with the same amount of fish and everything, it's eating quite a bit of nitrates and different things out of the water and helping to make it stable. It also adds a lot of surface area. Eat the front and back of every single leaf and along the stem and everything, adds surface area to the tank. So it actually makes it feel bigger to the water. The front and back of every leaf adds to the surface area inside the tank. It's one reason why I don't like sand completely, is because it makes one solid surface area and you don't really get all the benefits of the bacteria inside. Each piece of gravel actually has its own surface area and adds a ton of surface area to the tank. So it adds a whole lot more room for bacteria to live and thrive and process the fish wastes. Just makes a more established tank. I like a good 2-3 fingers of gravel in the tank and maybe a little sand to kind of make it river bottom look. There's a leopard cineploma, African leaf fish, little guys. They get a little bigger. They definitely came in pretty small, but they're pretty cool. They're kind of a leaf fish. So they're in a pack, they'll hide up in the leaves and ambush predator. They get to a good size. You can have it with a fair amount of stuff, but it's gonna eat small fish eventually. But a more aggressive community tank would, larger tank would be okay probably. So usually we just kind of do our 30-40% water changes on a wall, and we'll do a wall, if not 2 walls a day. And then we'll try to do a wall or 2, maybe 3 walls a week. I do at least 3 walls of tanks where we just drain 30%, fill it back up. And I'll go around randomly water testing a few just to kind of keep track in my head of the nitrate levels. And if I know a tank has more fish than the next, then I might, do a little extra water change. Come through with just a bucket and do a little extra. Tons of regular, just the newest. There's albino newest. We have panda cories, pepper cories. There's Julies and Sturbeis. A couple long fin pandas left, not very many. But yeah, there's a bunch of cories coming tomorrow. Different types than we already have. I think there's 3 new types of cories. There's a bunch of different rasbora and tetra. Like weird, pretty spots. Like I got a couple empty tanks just because I got plans. And we counted the other day. We're exactly 200 tanks. 199, but we're missing one up there. We got space for the 200. Okay. Know how it hit your 200 exactly. Yeah, there's a hog choker flounder. Got a funny name to it. They live off of like some shrimp and stuff that hits the bottom. Basically frozen foods I like to feed them. I have big schools of barbs and all kinds of different schoolers. And I really want to kind of pinpoint to people if you need schoolers or more activity in your tank. We've got multiple of everything. Everything's doing great. The whole tetra section is freaking packed. I also have coolies. Plants are actually pretty full stock, but I have plants coming from 3 different distributors tomorrow. It's going to be blowing this out of the water. Literally, I don't have enough space. We still have a lot of shrimp. I'm kind of planning my shrimp order for this week, so restock's coming too, but there's still a ton left. I have plans to do rice fish and a couple other things down here. Little surprises coming. Yeah. Lots of cool stuff. Got a bunch of koi in. We put a bunch of duckweed in to feed them, so you can't exactly see right now. It's probably not good for retail. The clown loach tank It's pretty cool. A bunch of big angels that have actually been breeding in here. But we got a big school of clown loaches. They've been doing pretty good. Hopefully I don't jinx myself. New plant section. Just built today, so it looks like it's got a couple flaws to it, but we'll figure it out. So my uncle was in the fish clubs. He always had tanks and just got me to start having tanks. And then I got tanks and accumulated tanks, you know, got multiple tank syndrome when I was little. It's basically snowballed. Got into the actual business retail of it like 7-8 years ago and been going strong. Decided to open my own shop, got an investor and made it happen, made Fish happen. So we got over 60, I believe it's 64. We did lose a few, but not too many. It was just transportation. It's quite a few getting adjusted into the tank. Some of them are gonna lay sideways for a little bit, but it's actually kind of normal. They're drama queens, a lot of different colors and everything. And we literally just put them in. They'll be getting adjusted and actually being adjusted into full tap up the next couple weeks. There's gonna be 65 of these. Those are high fin Chinese banded sharks. They get pretty big, actually. They're over a foot, I believe. The roseline sharks are denison barbs, but they're variegated. They're the golden roseline sharks. So instead of being black and red and kind of a gray background, they're kind of a lighter background with a red stripe opposed to the black stripe. We did a rescue and got a bunch of giant gourami, which is pretty cool. They have a female flower horn if anybody's interested in breeding with their male. Then we have a couple big King Kong parrots. They're a breeding group, but it seems the male's a little shy right now. But yeah, we have some giant gouramis at a pretty decent price too. They're only 200 a piece. They should be more. 15, 16 inches, like well over a foot. I bet they're every bit of 4 or 5 pounds a piece too. Wow. At least the big guys. The smaller, you know, 2-3 pounds. They could probably leap 3-4 foot out of the water, no problem. So quite scary. You almost need a lid with a weight on top. A lot of denison barbs. I'm actually doing 15 a piece on these denison barbs. Mm-hmm. But if you get 6 or more, we'll do 10 a piece, which usually they're 20-25 at just a little bit bigger. So probably the lowest denison barbs, but they're starter denisons, which, you know, you got to grow them up, but they should be at a lower price. So they're at a lower price. We also have over 150 or so starter angels, like good, like dime, quarter size angelfish. They're doing pretty well. There's a lot of them up here. These are really pretty angels. For the most part, just a marble mix, but they're like a lighter marble. Some of them do have some long veils though. Huge bag of rainbow sharks. The silver dollar tank, quite a few silver dollars. They eat plants and whatnot, so I want to suggest them in planting tanks, but they're one of the coolest schoolers. Really tight school usually. They look like piranha or something too, but they're the plant-eating piranha, basically. Some of them are every bit of 8-9 inches. There's a variety of stuff we feed. I do a lot of frozens like brine shrimp and bloodworms, a little bit of myosis and stuff for bigger stuff. I feed live whenever I can get a hold of live. We have the Daphnia totes culturing. There's actually baby swimmers starting yesterday. I feed a lot of veggies when I get them. Spinach, cucumber. I do garlic all the time, actually, like a couple times a month for the whole store. Because garlic's a natural immune booster and it's a anti-parasitic. So as it's passing through the fish's gut, it's actually kind of pushing parasites out of its body. So if I go around doing a steady feed of garlic, then it kind of helps prevent from parasites. Keeping it stocked and healthy, that's one of my biggest challenges. I'll get a bunch of fish in and we'll spotlight it on, you know, Facebook and stuff, and then it will sell out within a couple days. We're gonna start importing in larger numbers, holding certain fish like rams and stuff in multiple tanks, so I can try to meet demand at a lower price than pretty much everybody else around. This one's actually just a filtered filter, like a nice cycled one. I gotta go around every day, check in. I call it chasing sponges. But I'll go around just checking for those, connecting them back up. But most of the time it runs pretty smoothly. There's enough pressure built through the whole system that if one or two are off, it's still powering most of the other ones around it. Yeah, start slow. Even if that means get a couple tanks all at once. You know, you can kind of get into the hobby fairly fast, but get a couple little things, especially plants in the beginning, and then just slow down. Work on the garden, get it all planted, and then let it sit for 2-3 weeks. You can feed just fish food, like ghost feed it. You can add little mystery snails to kind of get some life in there, but really avoid fish for almost a whole month and just get it ready for fish. Yeah. We also got a lot of female bettas in. The really nice koi Nemo, real colorful females. Yeah, you can have a ton of females. This is a younger group of females that we have. There are probably 15 or so in here, if not a couple more. But these are all mostly sisters, or sisters and aunts. Yeah, they're all pretty related. The blues might be from a different batch, but most of the white and red and white are from the same breeder. Pretty much fully stocked on males. We do have a ton of really nice ones. They get their own 10 gallons. So, a couple of them out front trying to show off. Tons of blackworms, $10 a portion. We'll be in here, just ask about them. Our male bettas are in all of these 10-gallon tanks. One, it gives them more volume of water. And then if you look at like this guy, they're constantly hunting around looking for little microorganisms and stuff to eat. You usually don't lose a betta in a 10-gallon, but also I don't really want to do the cups and stuff because I feel it's kind of wrong. And if we could just plant up these tanks and they operate on their own, then, you know, why not? There's only this one sorority and the 110 just because they just got going. But the rest of them, there is no filter, just plants. The plants love it. The fish really don't mind. We don't really get any losses from the bettas. And then there's still Fat Boy here. That's his name, Fat Boy. 125, first come, first serve. He's a axolotl. He actually has a little bit of GFP. If you shine a black light on his eyes kind of glow green a little bit. And there's a little in his tail, but mostly in his eyes. Yeah, this is the final room of the tuber, the betta room. Males are all kept in their own individual 10-gallon, and females are kept in our 2 bigger sororities. None of these tanks are filtered, except for maybe 1 or 2. They're just loaded up on plants and kind of let to do their own thing. We do get some algae issues and stuff, but the bettas don't mind at all. And then that also allows us to add some more life to eat the algae. The females don't tend to fight. They usually in the wild will roam around, do their own thing, while males stick to their own little territory and make a nest. So females don't tend to be as aggressive, but you don't put a female with a male because the female typically will kill the male. They'll rip them up and yeah, the male won't do as well.